the more specific you make the story about you, the more relatable it'll be to others.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how specific I was about in my high school? They would have a chart where they rank from, you know what I mean? I'm being very
Mm-hmm.
specific, right? Um, and I say, like our small group leader, her daughter, she's like very wild, always playing in the playground. I guarantee you, when she's 15, like I'm being very specific. I'm not being generic, like, oh, we, when we're young, it's our authentic self, but as we grow up, we grow out of there. Like, I'm not using some vague poetic language to write a poem. I'm giving
Mm-hmm.
you something tangible, specific, right? That specifically happened for me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you share a specific experience that specifically happened to you, that's when it actually becomes more relatable. That's when everyone's going to relate to it. When you try to make it general for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it just becomes cliche and goes one year out the other year. When you make it specific for you, that's when everyone's going to resonate. This
Mm-hmm.
is what Seth Rogen said about uh, Superbad. So one of the things that Seth Rogen, that whole crew of filmmakers,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why their movies are so successful, right? Like Superbad, right? Like what's the other one? Like the like the one where that woman gets pregnant. Uh, oh, maybe that was super bad. I don't know. And yeah, I don't remember, but like 40-year Virgin, like all those series of movies. If you look at those movies, what you see is this. There's okay, I'm not gonna get into that because it's completely. I mean, what I was gonna say is like there's a story, like two guys trying to get laid. That's the plot. But the story behind what's happening is two guys that what you find out throughout the story is two guys who's best friends, but
Mm-hmm.
next year they're going. One is going to a good school, and the other one's staying home at a local community college, right? So they have to deal with that, and then he's actually going to be rooming with this other guy in the new college. So they feel like they're not going to be friends anymore, and so that's the real underlying story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what Seth Rogen says is this: you know, Superbad was just a story of two Jewish Canadians doing Jewish Canadian things in a using their fake ID to get and then getting caught by the police. You know what I mean? And then trying to get laid, and then you know, go to a party, and then this happening. Like all of these scenarios were real things that happened to them that were specific to them. But
Mm-hmm.
Superbad ended up becoming the best, highest selling high school movie of all time. How did that happen? It's because the more specific you make it to you,
Mm-hmm.
Jewish Canadian boys living in a suburb, the more relatable it is to everyone. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is everyone wants to create the dramatic story, like, oh, I had, I was like I was in the gutter, my rock bottom moment, and then I came like this, or like everybody wants the dramatic story of the everybody wants to tell the high school prom king, prom queen story, or the biggest nerd story. Nobody wants to tell this story in the middle. But
Mm-hmm.
99% of us growing up in high school were neither the high school prom king or neither the biggest loser in the school. All of us were somewhere in between, trying to just be a little bit cooler. Do you understand what I mean? So when you write a story about that person, you're actually going to relate. When you write a story that's specific to you, because you're that person, it's actually going to be more relatable to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. So really be myself and tell what
Yeah,
happened
the
to me.
juicy details. Those
Okay.
juicy details you don't want to sell. Like what I said about, um, yeah, like I wanted to get on that board, right? I knew that, uh, for me, like I knew that if I didn't at least, because there in my school there was about 20 kids that gets into UCLA. So it'll always be like one gets into Harvard, one gets into Stanford, maybe three gets into Berkeley, like, and then 20 gets into UCLA, and then USC, and then UC Irvine, and boom, 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 like it goes like that. But I knew that at least if I don't get to UCLA and above, that's shame. Like I know that was gonna be shameful for me if I get under because all my friends are up there.
Mm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna sit there and be like, yeah, I grew up in this tiger mom who forced me to study. That sounds like a bullshit story to me. But
Hmm.
when I say the truth, we're like, okay, like I knew my friend, this guy was getting into that school. My friend, this what he was getting into, blah 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 blah. And I knew that at least if I didn't get into this school, that
Hmm.
I wouldn't be part of that crowd anymore, or something like. If you say it like that, then it's more believable. It's more relatable. It's more, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, and it actually adds to the point of like how in such subtle ways society forces you to do things without you even knowing, like how the society makes you think that this is what I actually want
Hmm.
when it's not.